Hey, yo, in every city, you'll hear stories of survival, loyalty, and betrayal. Some rise above the struggle, while others just become trapped in the cycle. You see, the streets make promises they never keep, because in the end, the streets is a myth.
My name is Lo Lyfe, and that's L-O-L-Y-F-E. I'm from Trenton, New Jersey. I was raised out Charlotte, North Carolina, back and forth between Jersey and Charlotte, North Carolina. My real name is Lewis, so Lo and Life it's like pretty much what I do through my art is I give you a glimpse of what I've been through in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Take me back to the beginning. What was life like before the streets?
Life like before the streets? Simple. I come from a modest family. You know, we are very humble beginnings, church going. We didn't have much, but my mom had a way of making everything seem good. You know what I mean? She raised us alone. Me, my little brother, my older sister. So I feel like that was like the prime time of my years, my youngest years, you know, but there was things going on behind scenes that that was wicked within the family, you know, but other than that, like my mom had a good way of shielding us from that during my adolescence years. It's just, I feel like things took a shift once she got a stroke and lost her ability to walk. She eventually regained it, and we went down Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's where pretty much everything turned up, you know, for me in my life when it comes to the streets.
What would you say are some early signs that you were on the wrong path?
I would say isolation. I was isolating a lot from family. I would definitely say, you know, school. You know, a lot of, just put it this way, high school, I was at 9 schools through my high school year, you know what I mean? And I graduated in prison, you know, with a GED, you know, but I've been to 9 different schools. I can name every single one of them. Kicked out of this school, kicked out of this school. This, you know, that was a sign there, you know what I mean? So it was when my behavior shifted, you know, where I felt more of, I needed validation to do violence. You know, where, you know, I feel like that's where it was. And I had to be every bit of 11, 12, and that's around the time where, you know, the gangs, I got involved in the gangs.
What was your environment like? Like, who were you surrounded by?
Realistically, my mom worked constantly. So my environment was everybody in the neighborhood. Like I was, what I would say, a hood baby, you know, where you can go to this house or this building or this project and probably see me there, you know what I mean? Like, so I bounced around a lot. So I was just around a lot of the older heads, a lot of street dudes. You know, I don't know as far as what can I say as far as being explicit, you feel me? But like a lot of street niggas, you know what I mean? Like I was around, you know, everybody. There was the hustlers, the killers, the robbers. You know, these was, around me, my age, that was the neighborhood heroes. That was the ones who kept the lights on when we ain't had no lights. You know, when we was burning candles and heating up the stove to fill the tub up, and you know what I mean? Like, so that's who I was around then. Again, the gangbangers and all that. That was what I felt I was drawn more towards that at that age. At that impressionable age.
Did anyone ever try to warn you or keep you out of the streets? And if so, why didn't you listen to them?
Yeah, I mean, I had, my warnings was more of the, okay, here go, I get locked up and it's like juvenile shit. I'll get locked up in juvenile detention center or something like that, and you know, the judges warn me, hey, look, I'll give you a pass this time, but, you know, get it right, get it together. I didn't have, you know, my dad or really much of a father figure to really guide me in the right way, because nobody at the time, because I was acting out, nobody really wanted me around them, you know what I mean? Because I was what you consider the black sheep of my family. You know what I mean? But it's crazy how it works, because I was the one who a lot of people relied on when it was things going on in the streets, you know, or when they needed this or needed that. So it was conflicting for me, you know what I mean? So, but I didn't really have too many people that was like, hey, yo, get it together. That didn't happen until my prison years, where I was bumping my head, and it was just like, yo, so, you know, you gotta get it right, or this is gonna be your life forever.
What would you say was the moment you realized that you were in way too deep?
Way too deep? I'm at the Ramada Hotel, about 6 in the morning. I get the call. The feds, SWAT team, they all kicked in my mom's door and put guns to mom, my daughter at the time, my little nephews, guns to these little kids looking for me. Same time, they kicked their door in, they kicked my daughter mom's house, kicked her door in, put guns to everybody in there. You know, when I rolled down 95 and looked up at the billboard, and my face was on it. When I go to my uncle's house and he like, nephew, come here, God rest his soul, rest in peace, G Money. He like, nephew, come here, look at this newspaper. And I'm on the front page of that. That's when I realized, yeah, this shit, it's either gonna end up with me dead or in jail for a long time. So, cause it was, at the time it was war with me and the police, the feds, the SWAT, and yeah. So that's when I realized it was too deep.
So what did you end up going to jail for?
First, I did 15 years altogether, accumulated. First 5 years I took a charge for my relatives, older cousin. It was a robbery. I fell for that. I did 5 years for that. Because I took the charge for someone else, it wasn't, for me, I'm in there like, I couldn't really learn the lesson, because it's a lesson that wasn't meant for me, you know what I mean? But it's like, all right, I take it on the chin, I eat it, you know? So I came out worse than what I was when I went in. I turned it into a nightmare. My whole bed was pretty much in a hole. And then my 10 years, my decade that I did, it was for high speed. I had 3 high speed chases with the police. I had 3 drug sales. I had all these, I had weapon charges, gun charges, but I had them in multiple states. I had a gun charge, you know, in Jersey. Then they had me on an investigation for 4 homicides, you know, and then charged with a double homie. So it was a lot. The best sleep I ever got was when they finally arrested me, and I was sitting in that cop car, face bloody from them fucking me up, you know, calcium buildup from shit being fractured, and I just went to sleep because I knew it was like I got a long ride ahead of me, but I was ready.
So what was that 10-year bid like for you?
Initially, but now I got daughters now, so at the first 5 years I ate it. It wasn't nothing, you know. It was all war for me. It was riots and, you know. But the 10-year bid was a little different because it was like, now I got kids. So at first it was rocky, the fights, the stabbings, and all that, and trying to make the adjustments. And then finally I had to wake up. Just me sitting in the hole for a year, and my cellie had just hung itself. And here I am days later ready to kill myself. Just mentally just feeling defeated. And I heard this guy, it had to be 2, 3 in the morning, and this dude, he used to sing all the time at night. He was singing this, and we used to hate him for it, because he's annoying, we trying to sleep, but he was singing, the change gonna come. And when I heard it, I took the sheet from around my neck, and that's when it was like, now it's time to change. And when they let me out the hole, I recreated my whole entire life. I put all my focus and energy on building myself, on fortifying myself, educating myself. I went and got a college degree from prison. I went and got a multitude of trades from prison. You know, I became a peer specialist where now I'm speaking and advocating for my peers in prison. I've taught groups and things like that and helped shape the lives of thousands and thousands of prisoners. You know, now the respect factor for me from staff and everything else shifted. Now I'm able to move closer to my family because I was 5-6 hours away, you know? And yeah, and from there I had never looked back. And I took that lesson from in there and used it out here in society. And I'm still building.
When would you say you realized that the streets were a myth?
The streets were, that I could say the streets were a myth. I'm definitely gonna say when I came back home and seen that the same thing, the same blocks, the same hoods, same fake ass cause and principles that we were so-called fighting for, that people were still stuck on that same treadmill, you know. And that's when I was like, yo, this is, you don't even realize you're fighting for a block you'll never own, you know, for a cause that wasn't your cause. I was blood, you know, sex, money, murder. It was brotherly love, override, oppression, destruction of our society. We fighting for oppression. We're not the ones being oppressed. They felt they needed to do that. And that's the reason why they formed that and went the way they did. So why are we borrowing their problems? You know what I mean? So here we're delusional, brainwashed, mind fucked into thinking that we're fighting. But realistically, like we're doing what the powers to be want us to do, is getting each other out the fucking way. And until we can see that, we're gonna continue to be blind, deaf, and dumb. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Yeah. So it was me coming home when I realized, yeah, this shit ain't, you know, the streets gonna always be there, but the whole concept and mindset behind it, that shit was strategically created for us to destroy one another. And this is years before I was even alive. Again, I just helped perpetuate it. I helped keep it alive.
How many friends and associates have you either lost to prison, death, or strung out on drugs?
It's more than you could fathom. More than I got fingers and toes, you know. And it's sad to say, but if it was so little, then I would be able to name them. It's sad when I be like, dang, oh yeah, I forgot about him. I could mention her, you know. Always, I'm still dealing with it. Some of them tatted. I'm still dealing with it. But yeah, I lost a lot to the streets. Killed. I seen actually, yeah. I'm sorry, but I get, you feel me?
Yeah.
I get kissed. It's like in certain instances, I wish I could trade places with them, because I led a lot of people down the wrong path from me being misled down the wrong path. So in a lot of ways, I feel culpable. I feel responsible for some people that's like my nephews. I'm trying to steer them in the right way now. And they father doing life. And that was my little, I bred him, you know? I feel like I created that monster, you know, and it haunts me. It haunts me daily. And that's why I do what I do now. I do everything I can do daily to shift the narrative. And there's no way I can right those wrongs. You know, I gotta deal with whatever I gotta deal with when that time comes and judgment comes. But, you know, God rest those fallen angels and those ones that is still struggling with everything the street come with, you know, addictions and things like that. Prison, they're still stuck in behind those walls, losing their fucking minds. Cause I know what that shit is like. I know what that shit is like.
How many people did you say you saw that were like big time gangsters or the most tough guys that just grew up and just came up and being broke?
The big time gangsters?
Yeah, that ended up just being broke in the end.
Broken mentally, emotionally, or financially?
However you want to look at it, 'cause that's a good
yeah, well,
too.
I could tell you, one, we actually call him Pelican Bay. And this motherfucker, he was, like solid, well respected, well esteemed. You know, people admired him, look at him. But I tell people all the time, like, we met from the street to you know, we followed pretty much from the street to the prisons. When I see them in prison, same things, esteemed, well respected. I mean, an animal out here in this world, you know what I mean? And I tell people all the time, it's not the strong that survive jail, it's the strong-minded. When we was behind in the hole together, and I'm doing my whole time, he doing this whole time, we doing, you know what I mean? I remember being in the yard, we in different cages doing push-ups and I never forget waking up and having to look out that little window on my door and here he is across the hall hanging himself. Because he was broken. He was broken mentally, emotionally. Fuck what his account had. You know what I mean? That shit, I know plenty of weak people with money. You know, plenty of whatever you want to consider define real people with money. They got all the money in the world, but they take care of their kids. You know what I mean? So that's what I consider broke. These, you know, the ones that is out there, and you do got the BMWs, the foreigns, and this, that, and the third, but you won't give back to the ones who was there when no one else was there around. When the smoke cleared, they was the ones standing there. So yeah, that's a numerous people who I could count. You know, and I was one of them at one point. You know what I mean? So it took me to have to recognize that, face that man in the mirror and be like, yeah, you gotta get it together.
Can you share a scary or intense moment that you survived?
Respect to his family. They won't say his name. I was more scared for him than me. A riot happened. Camp Hill Prison. And Pittsburgh, Philly. They always colliding. My cellie, 14 at the time. He was in jail. He had a life sentence. He took a charge for his brother. Brother got into a scuffle. I won't go too much in details. Somebody got dropped. Brother got away. He didn't. Life sentence, took it. He gets caught up in that riot in the yard. I'm at the pull-up bar and I see him getting his brain stumped in. At the time, we had the weights you can pick up. So I ran over and grabbed this dumbbell and cracked one of the guys with the weight. And there's somebody out to this day, when he see my brother, he tell my brother, hey, tell your brother thank you for saving my life, because he was one of the ones caught up in that mix. But I cracked him with the weight, and then I wound up getting cracked and getting a little scuffle, and I was able to drag my cellie out of the mix. 2 days later, from the trauma to his brain, he died. So here he is. That was a scary moment because I'm seeing him, 14. You got grown men, animals, stomping his brains in, and I couldn't save him. So that was that. I mean, I got to go on in many of, even the riot that I was in where I was stabbed, 13 times. This is a big blood and Crip riot. 2009. I want to say March, April of 2009. Big blood and Crip riot. I just stepped in Housedale. I wasn't in there 2 days. And it went crazy. Now that was crazy because they landed helicopters and everything in the yard. They had to airlift somebody. The dude almost lost his life. They had to bring him back. It was a lot. So that was a scary fucking moment. Because it was literally like Armageddon out there. You know what I mean? And I don't know much people in here, so it's like it was just haywire. It was haywire, so damn. Yeah, I could go on from being shot to, you know, that was scary. You know, I flatlined twice, you know, so yeah, you know, these whole things still exist. You know what I'm saying? That was scary. So certain things are just, it can go deeper. Certain things I just can't, you know, disclose.
What was the hardest part about leaving the streets behind?
Knowing that there was some crabs in that barrel that I really loved. To this day, I still love them. People who, again, I felt that guilt of, like, I gotta be there. There's some people that I wanna pull up and get them out of there, but I know, just like me, they gotta be able to save themselves. They gotta hit their own rock bottom. You know what I mean? It was also pride too. You know, because you got some people, just because you change don't mean they're going to change with you. They don't give a, they still remember. I know what you did to my folks. I remember what you did this, you did that, you was doing this, that. So no, I get, all right, you different now, but nigga, the trauma's still there. So that was the hardest thing, is trying to stay on that right, narrow path. You really have to, because you can let the gang go, but you can still think like a gang member. You could you could detach from the people, but still have those principles and those, you know, and still behave the same way that you did, whether you was with them or not. So you just had to be a reminder that no matter where you go, you take you with you. So it's you that got to fucking completely change and be different. Or you could be that person, but just know how to, you know, how to turn it off. You gotta be a chameleon in this world sometimes. You gotta know how to shift it. You know what I mean? It was Ace Murder in the streets for me. Now I let Lewis lead. You know what I mean? I let Lewis lead. Ace Murder is just what I keep suppressed to keep me alive. Because I still gotta when I move, I still gotta be able to, you know what I mean? And that's just, I don't know if that's the PTSD that comes from being in the streets or me just knowing, like, you know, I'm still aware. Look at the young buck from the city that just got killed. Regardless of what he's doing, peace, he's promoting peace, but he's still, you know, what's his name? LGBT, Quad, yeah, like, come on.
It's crazy.
God rest his soul. You feel me? So you still gotta be aware of your surroundings. You know what I mean?
So what steps did you take to turn things around for you?
It started with me first. You know what I mean? It started with me. It was like figuring out what qualities and characteristics that I needed to be better, know what they look like, and start to embody that. Start to do it to where it becomes habit, and then it becomes a part of my character. Now it's not forced. You feel me? And also where certain things that were once easy for me to do at one point now become complicated. You know what I mean? Meaning it was easy for me to go out here, run around carrying guns, you know, shoot a shit or grab some drugs and, you know, sell some dope, or it was easy for me to do that. Now it's hard, no matter what I deal with, it's hard for me to go back to that lifestyle because I know where it leads. You know what I mean? And I know what I'll be sacrificing if shit turns, because you never win. It's a losing battle. You feel what I'm saying? So I got to keep in mind that no matter what, my worst day out here is way better than my best day in there. You feel what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it started with me having to reshape myself mentally, emotionally, and do away with certain core beliefs that keeps me stuck, that keeps me mentally incarcerated. So I had to free my mind first, and that's when eventually my body followed. You feel what I'm saying? So I started picking up books, reading, educating myself. You know what I mean? Then now I'm going to these groups, these self-help groups, You know what I mean? I'm listening to these older heads this time. Now I'm taking those jewels and I'm, you know what I mean? Then I start writing. I find ways to cope. I put it in music, I put it in this, I put it in that, and then I just channeled it, and yeah, and it's, I'm be honest, it's still a journey, bro. It's still a walk. Day by day, it's a choice. Every day I gotta make a choice, because that's all it takes. It's easy. It's that easy to go back.
Right now, what advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self, don't be afraid to be you. Because that was the main thing. It was like, because I knew I had to peel back those layers, those scars and all that, and find my inner self. That person that I told you about in the beginning of this conversation, where I said when life was simple, where I was happy and content with being simple, I had to find that person. Now I'm happy with simple. I'm happy with the little things that I do acquire, the little things that I earn in life. I appreciate them so much more. You know what I mean? And look at anything added to it as a blessing. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I would tell my younger self, man, to be one, I love you. You know, because you don't hear it much. So I'm going to tell you, because I want you to start telling yourself, one, I love you. You know, you are exceptional. You know, you are capable. You are enough. Regardless of who abandoned you, that's their problems. Regardless of that, you're not going to continue to make that an excuse for you to be stuck in this cycle. You know, you can either let that make you or break you. You know what I mean? And I would just shake him. You know, like, people say they don't regret. I live with regrets. I feel like you should. You should, because if you don't regret, if I don't regret the tears that my kids lost from me not being there, or the shit that my mom went through, to this day, I feel like it's the result of why she's so unhealthy now. The shit that she went through, going from courthouse to driving 4 or 5 hours up road, being pat searched and stripped and all this extra shit to deal with my shit. My little brother catching the backlash. He's not in the streets, catching the backlash from my shit, being beat down, shoulders broken. For them to have to, my grandma being evicted 3 times. You know what I mean? If I don't regret, if I tell myself that if I would go back, I wouldn't do anything differently, then that to me is some sadistic, narcissistic ass shit. That's selfish. No, yeah, I would definitely do things differently. I would bring, because a lot of people that, you know, I don't know, I'm not God, you know what I mean? But God willing, a lot of people will still be here. A lot of lives would have been a lot better, maybe including my own. You know, so gratefully I'm still here. And I just use those lessons as a tool to try to, as a deterrent, to try to shift somebody else's trajectory.
What do you want the people watching this to take away from your story?
It's a story of redemption, a story of hope, and it's a story that's still being written. You're the author of your own story. That at any given time, you do have the power to change in a positive way, regardless of what's going on around you, no matter how hopeless, how helpless, you know, when the opportunity for you, this is one thing I always kept with me. When the opportunity stopped knocking, I start building my own doors. You know, I create my own light, even if it's with the bridges I burn. So that's from takeaway from my story is that, again, that there's still hope, and you doing better and being a better version of yourself, and giving back to this world instead of taking away from it.
Streets is a man, right? Streets is a man. Streets is a man, right? Yo, boy, have you lived the life the streets tried to write for you, but ultimately found your own ending? Do you have a story of survival, betrayal, or redemption? We're looking for real people with real experiences to share their truth. If the streets tried to break you, but you made it out, we want to hear from you. Hit us up now to be a part of The Streets is a Myth.
I don't be wanting no distractions when I'm starting my day. I'm facing 20 years in jail. I don't got no time to play. God is great, paper straight. Go ahead and smile. It don't matter if they hate. Go ahead and smile. You the one, no debate. Go ahead and keep smile. It real, whoever keep it fake. Go ahead and smile. In the mirror, you in love. Go ahead and this smile. Your song, wanna hear it in the club. Go ahead and smile. Everything is on fleek. Go ahead and smile. Twerking, you a little freak. Go ahead and smile. Doing good by yourself. Go ahead and on smile. Your grind, trying to get the good wealth. Go ahead and smile. You do that shit, ayy.